So we have a quarterly meeting every couple of months, and this actually cropped up where we were talking about some of the limitations that have stopped us from growing in our business, having these mental breakthroughs that we always talk about, and overcoming hurdles. And I'll let Lenny share his after, but mine was coming from a sort of working class family, not really having any money, not having any aspirations. And to be honest, my dad was an armed robber, right? He was in jail twice for robbing post offices, right? So when we were talking about this, I was like, do you know what? I really shouldn't have this thought process around money, because my dad just went, if I want money, I'm just going to rob a place. But that was one of the things that held me back. I didn't believe that I was good enough. I didn't believe that I could charge what we charge now or charge, what we do in the future. And it was always these self-imposed limitations more than actually what the market was saying, because we wouldn't be around for as long as we have been if we didn't, or actually if we weren't as good as what we are. So for me, it was that being around family members, friends who were well-meaning, but who really just wanted to go and party and take beer and gear on a Wednesday, and being around that group of people just was not helping whatsoever. And a few years ago, for you guys who've been through ECN Elite, you'll know Jen. She asked me to do a talk on leadership, and in that talk, it was a group of 17, 18-year-olds, and I told them the story of how I cut out my childhood friends. Not in a negative way or a way of sort of going, I'm done with you, but just sort of letting them know that, listen, I'm in a different place. I care about what I do. I want to help people. I want to be better. I don't want to be focusing on having a hangover or living for the weekend, because that's what I did when I was 21 and 22 when we started. Lenny was a little bit more mature, was married a little bit earlier. I was just like, I need some way to blow off steam. So for me, growing up around that negativity, and again, as well-meaning as it was probably one of the biggest obstacles that sort of stopped me.
Very similar to PJ, and I think what I would offer is, or what I would suggest is that not everyone who's in the environment that you're in currently has the same thought processes of, I want to go out every weekend, I want to do this. I don't think it was, everything happens for a reason, and it just so happened that me and PJ lived not too far from each other, and we were ambitious, and we wanted to grow a fitness business, and we wanted to help and impact people. So, it's important to know as well that there are people like that within your environment. You just need to, Annika said it earlier, your reticular activating system needs to become open to it. You need to look for the right people. And that starts by becoming the right person. So it's like, you can blame everyone around you, or you can take responsibility and say, do you know what, fuck it. I'm going to lead this situation. I don't want to live life this way. I want to live life in a different way. And I think that's really important as well. And also know that even outside of those circles, there are people who genuinely want to help you. Like George, shout out to him as well. I don't think that there's any way possible that me and George's paths would have crossed in any normal circumstance. But, I took myself out of the environment that I was in, and I still do it. I still travel and try to go and meet different people. And that's really important as well, because had I not done that, and had I not stepped outside of certain environments, then I never would have met that man. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to bring Alwyn Cosgrove here or Aaron McClellan, because me and Dan met Aaron at a mastermind as well. And that's why it's so important for you to think in that way and look for people and become the right person as well.
Nice. Is there any questions in the room, or I can go back to the list that were sent through? So one relates to that first question, which is really, so contrast to your background, what was your so-called I made it moment?
I don't. I don't think I'll ever have that. To be fair, because, and I'm sure PJ will attest to this. Like after this weekend, I'll probably sit down and reflect on it for about 3 seconds, and then I'll be like, okay, what's next? What are we doing next? How can we provide value to more people? How can we make this bigger? How can we make it better? And I think that's important as well. And I think someone said something about balance. I truly don't believe that you can find balance within a business, within any business. Like you're either all in or it's going to fail. And I'm sorry if that shocks people in a way, but it's the reality. Like if you're not there, if you're not switched on all of the time, and I know people say, oh, you need to step away, and you legit do, but you're stepping away with purpose. You're stepping away because, you know what, I need a break. I need to re-energize myself so that I can pick it up again tomorrow on fire. You know, that's the reason for it. So, you know, for me, I truly don't believe there's a balance. I think you can find harmony within your business, but what's next? That's my view on it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, there is moments that we've looked back and we've appreciated what we've came through. One of them was the current gym that we have. And I remember we had our clients in, and again, as Dan was talking about culture, we had our clients in cleaning this gym, like for us, like supporting us. And Lenny was like, PJ's going to give a speech. And I just remember breaking down crying. Sorry about that. And it was just 10 years or 8 years, whatever it was, of struggle. And my talk that I wanted to give was pretty much on, it doesn't end. It doesn't stop. We've went from a gym to an academy to mentorship to franchise, and there'll be something else after that. So I just want to say that we've been where you are. We're in the same place. We're just that little bit further on. So, like, Patters, sorry, not me. It's hay fever, by the way. Patter's cheesy photo was just so apparent. Do you know what I mean? Because it's the truth. That's where we all get to. And the amount of people we meet, I'm not in the industry anymore. Why not? You have something to give to it. It was because it wasn't given back to you that you became selfless. So as Lenny was saying there, the make it moment, there isn't, because you go, why did they get into this in the first place? To help people. And you just help more people and more people. And you meet new people, which open up doors to different sort of things. And that's how we've managed to, progress on. And the turning point definitely in our business was meeting people and going to masterminds. 1,000,000%. Take that off.
I think the balance between your hay fever and your vulnerability is really nicely done.
And you can do that in a room full of people.
Any questions from the room? And again, I can go back to a list, but nice, thank you. Round of applause for the first question. Just say your name as well.
Yeah, so that's definitely my biggest fear, public speaking, and now you put me in a spot. Well, first of all, thanks a lot for organizing all this and for everyone here. The vibe is fantastic, and thank you all for having the chance to meet you. My question is, as someone who is still currently studying, I still have another 2 years to go. I'm nowhere near starting my own online business. What is the first thing that I should do? Because the reason why I'm here at this event is to learn more about it and essentially build a plan for myself for the future. And I see everyone's sharing their journey, and I'm on all social media platforms, and that's what I do. But what else can I do to kind of set myself up for success? Thank you.
So, by the sounds of it, you're already doing the right thing in terms of marketing. So then the next thing that I would say is get really great at sales, at selling. And that's going to make life so much easier on you. Find your optimal selling strategy. And when you find that, the flywheel will turn relatively easy for you. If you're already good at marketing, well, then the next step is, okay, I need to get great at selling. One more thing. If you're providing value to the marketplace, never be afraid to ask for the sale either. You've earned the right.
That's, as John was saying, sales are the lifeblood of your business. The biggest thing I see from students coming through the academy or personal trainers just qualified is they don't know what they're selling. They don't know their product. It's like, I do personal training, I do group training, I do boot camp, I do this. Okay, well, why do you do that? Is that not what we do? Like, they don't understand who they're actually serving. And again, it's cliched, but every mastermind, every person you work with will always bring it back to who is it that you're trying to serve? Who is the person you want in front of us? Like, it's going to be difficult if, me and Lenny are appealing to 18-year-old females to come and train with us, okay? Now, that's not to say we can't work with that audience, but it's who are you trying to actually help and being authentic? And 9 times out of 10, probably 99 times out of 100, you are your avatar. You are the person that you're serving. You've probably overcame, and we're big advocates for sharing your story. So when you do that, people will naturally gravitate towards you. Your vibe is your tribe. So if you're into something, the same way that you guys are at this event, these are all going to click because you're into the same stuff. So for me, those sort of baby steps of putting your message out there, like giving people value, and then, as John was saying, as soon as you get one testimonial, you look back at that and you just say to yourself, that person got great value. Okay, well, who's the next person that I want to serve? So for me, that would be the main thing. Just get clear on who that person is and have some clarity, and then just go for it.
Nice. Any other questions?
Come on, don't be shy.
Do you want to shout from there?
I'll try to hear me, yeah? Obviously, upskilling in different courses is important as a coach. So I use the kind of lot been through and on a lot of courses with myself included, and some bad ones. What was your best course and what was your worst course without giving names of the players?
I've pretty much done fucking everything. I've done step aerobics. Honestly, I think I had certificates coming out of my arse. See, for me, and a lot of the students that come through Elite will know that I talk about this. For me, coaching is a jigsaw puzzle. And everything you learn is another piece to the puzzle. And when you add experience to that, and as you go through time, what tends to happen is that jigsaw puzzle starts to become clear. So you've got the nutrition section, you've got, the customer service, you've got, the how to lift weights type section, and this thing starts going. So for me, it's hard to pinpoint what the best course was, because when we started, we thought more courses, more experience would make us more money. It didn't. No one gave a fuck whether I did a £1,000 course or whether I invested in the best mastermind in the world. No one cares. People only care that if you care about them. So for me, I think there's been different sort of times where things have really clicked with me and it's helped me. But I heard this from Nick Mitchell, the guy who runs UP Performance, when he was talking to Phil Lurney. And he was like, of all the information you know, you'll probably only ever use 10% with your clients. The other 90% is for us to grow and develop and, maybe for our own sort of style. So, apologies, but probably the best course is probably ECA, hands down. But anything else?
I'm gonna shadow PJ's politician's answer there, but at the same time, I think every course is an opportunity to learn, regardless of whether the information was bad information or it wasn't relevant or if it was good information. You can take that and say, well, what can I learn from this situation and how can I make it better? You know, I've done some things in the past that were underwhelming. And for example, I done an online course and I was like, you know what, I'm going to create an online course that's better than that. So even though I invested quite a bit of money in the online course and I didn't get much from it, what I done was then create something based on my frustration. And I think that's really important. You know, it could be the best course you've ever done, it could be the worst, but every single one of them is an opportunity to learn.
Thank you. Thank you very much for today. That's been great. One question. What book would you recommend, a book each, would you recommend to read or that you've read that could benefit someone in the room?
I think it depends on what you want to build, what you want to achieve, and the season that you're in. For me, over the last few years, it's very much been personal development books, books on leadership, because that's generally where the business lay at that time. I think there's a lot of great material out there. One that sticks to mind right now is a book called Legacy, about the All Blacks. Legacy, isn't it? Yeah, unbelievable book. I remember reading that. So yeah, I'll go with that for now. I don't want to bombard you. So if you don't read anything after this weekend, read Legacy.
These were actually in some of the slides I had. 3 were personal development books. One that really hit home for me was The Hard Thing About Hard Things from Dan Horowitz. I don't know if anyone's read it. Basically, software engineer becomes CEO. And one of the things he says in it is no one teaches you how to be a CEO. Like, no one here is teaching you how to run your business or to be a boss in your business. And it's hard to then keep yourself accountable, especially if you're self-employed, because you can just go, I'm just going to clock off and cancel my clients tonight. So for me, that was a great one. Another one was Shoe Dog, memoir of Phil Knight, the guy who created Nike. And the only reason why was his story resonated with ours. You know, he was turning over millions of pounds, but he had no money. You know, he was making sales, he was going country to country, he was speaking to athletes, he was just wearing his heart on his sleeve. And I think that really sort of hit home for me. So I only wear Under Armour and Nike now, by the way. And Hybrid Academy.
Nice. This next one is about how many hours a day or days per week you work on your business. And is this more or less than when you were starting? And also then what's your work-life balance like?
Intensity trumps volume. Intensity trumps volume. So, and I kind of got this word jumbled up a couple of months ago, compartmentalization. So when you're working, you're all in, you're present, you're doing the work that needs to be done. When you step away, it's family time. And I think trying to work towards that, I don't know if my wife will agree with me over here, but one of the more important points on that is a lot of the time I feel, and I addressed this earlier on at the very start of the day, people can either have their head in the clouds or they become the busy fool. And I think it's important, not the volume of work that you do, it's what type of work you actually do, which is more important. And what I recommend to people is, and this is a simple framework, if you can spend 70% of your time marketing and building your infrastructure, 20% of your time selling, doing follow-ups, and then 10% of your time doing maintenance money work, as in fulfilling the product or service, well, then that's probably a good balance, because the way I look at it is something like marketing and infrastructure, they're money later tasks. They're tasks that's going to create money later for the business. When you do sales, when you do follow-ups, they're money now tasks. So that's going to create cash flow for the business. When you're doing maintenance money tasks, as in fulfilling the product or service, what's happening when you're coaching on the gym floor? You're not building the business. And this is why, like, people, a straight up piece of advice any mentor could give you is charge more. right? But what's the reason I'm charging? Why am I doing that? Is because you're trying to decrease the level of maintenance money work that you have to do so that you can increase the level of infrastructure, which is actually genuinely going to grow the business. So I don't think the amount of work that you do, I think the intent of the work that you do is much more important.
This is a tough one. And the reason why I say that is because everybody in here is spending so much time in their business. And I am that person. We alluded earlier, there is no work-life balance. You're all in or you're not. Like, how many times have you sat at home and you're not present because you're thinking about, shit, I need to get another client in, or I need to do a Canva post, or I need to do a video, or like a lot of that comes down to not having the right systems in place. You know, the cash flow situation, you know, having recurrent payments, having things set up, people on contracts, whatever it may be, that gives you peace of mind. That's all it really does. So in terms of like the biggest issues I have is people are burnt out. They're working too much, way too much in their business, and they don't have the systems to be able to maintain it. So they do have a good month, a bad month, whatever it may be. And I was one of those people, you know, again, when we first started off, if we went on holiday, we brought our laptop. Do you know what I mean? And it pissed off my partner, and it probably pissed off Katrina. And there's times where you're just not present, you're just not thinking, and it's not a nice place to be in. And like I said, as John says, if you don't have the right systems in place, and obviously somebody, a mentor, whoever it may be, can help you with that, it's worth the investment. It takes £1 million sort of pound of weight off your back. So if you are out there and you're spending too much time in your business, and then you're probably thinking, oh, I need to be working on my business, you're probably working too much. So I don't think there is an adequate time frame. We're fortunate enough now that we don't have to be in the gym as much, but that doesn't mean that we're not working on the business. You know, we're setting up tasks, calls, meetings, usually now at a time that is appropriate for us and suits us. But at the end of the day, we're still sort of serving. So for me, I think you need to take a step back, get clear on what that vision is and how you want your business to look. You know, I would happily stay in this situation, right? Rather than say, oh, you can make more money and work more. But why? What are you working towards? You want to work towards more freedom, don't you? You want to work towards more time with your friends and your family. So I think getting clear on that is super important. So I couldn't put a time frame on it, because I guarantee everyone in this room is thinking about their business 24/7. And for me to tell you not to do that is impossible.
Any questions from the room? Oh, a few. Let's go, Paul.
Is there one life lesson that you have had that give you all sorts of value, like to change your life properly? And what is it?
Well, two things. The first one that I would say is you can't outgive the universe. That was probably the biggest life lesson that I've ever taken away. No matter how much you try, it'll always pay you back tenfold. You cannot outgive the universe. The second one that I would say is, and I've said this to a few people, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And at first, people kind of be like, what do you mean by that? Every single person in this room can teach something to the person next to them, which can teach something to the person next to them. Any single person in this room with enough background knowledge could step up onto this stage and teach every single person in this room something that they didn't know. So it's important to remember that no matter how much you devalue the information that you put out there, and you will, other people don't devalue it because they were unaware that it even existed. So you can't outgive the universe, and in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. In Nicole's case, I said the one-eyed woman is king. Yes.
Can I challenge the first one?
Yes.
Because I also agree that you can't outgive the universe, but there's a second part to it, which is make sure to look after yourself first so that you can outgive the universe. So Rumi has a quote, don't give from the depths of your soul, but your overflow. And we forget, we give and we give and we give, and then we start resenting people. Instead, top up your own cup, and then you'll be better able to give other people, and you will be able to outgive the universe. Because it's just a reframe on the same thing.
What Phil said.
Mine is a bit more crude, and it comes from legacy. Just don't be a dick. Like, the amount of times that has opened up more doors. Like, a lot of people, and coaches and other people we've met can be so petty about things. They can be so petty because a client is cancelled. They can be so petty over a deal that's went wrong or whatever it may be. And like, I'd like to think when you guys come to ECA or you see us, we have big smiles on our face. We're genuinely happy to see us. And we are trying to form connections. And that's what these events are for. So if you are a bit of a dickhead, it just, it blocks those doors off. It blocks those avenues off. So for me, Paulie, and you've got this type of personality that's quite infectious. You draw people in, and that's what you want. As John says, you can learn from everybody. And Dan, just be present, listen to what they say, because that person could be opening up doors for you that you never knew. Thank you. Thank you for everyone as well for coming.
There's another one here. Yeah.
What's happening? So I know it's been a crazy load of years for you from where you first started, obviously, to where you are now, both sitting up there. If you could go back to when you did first start, individually, what would you do differently? One thing.
Again, it sounds cliched as fuck. Like, we wouldn't change it at all. I think what it's taught us is so many lessons and so many things that we, when we were talking about creating talks, I was like, do you know what I want to talk about? How not to run a fitness business. And it was basically every single mistake we made, because it's forced us to learn and adapt and just basically course correct. So for me, I probably wouldn't change anything. In the moment, you're probably going, why am I doing this to myself? Like, why am I going through this hardship, this heartache, 15-hour days when we started, not making any money, married, having a child, and me and him are running about, almost ready to pull ahead of each other as well as train people. So I don't think it would change any of it, because obviously it's got us to this point. Like I said, as cliched as that sounds, but I think we could have made a lot more smarter decisions. I don't know if there's anything in particular that sticks out in our mind, but yeah.
I would have hired coaches much sooner, because it collapses time. And I probably would have held this event 7 years ago versus 7 years later had I hired coaches sooner. That's how highly I value. I mean, the only reason this event exists today is because I hired Nick James as my coach, which George does as well. Simple as that. If you don't do that, well then be prepared to work a hell of a lot longer and a hell of a lot harder. It's as simple as that. Coaches collapse time and they make life easier on you. And you think that, this is a big investment right now. You can't afford not to do it. Otherwise, spinning your wheels forever.
Got to introduce myself. Callum Walker. Thanks for today. This has been amazing. Honestly, learned so much, met some amazing people. You briefly kind of mentioned it but how would you say being in a mastermind has affected your business and life?
I couldn't put a price on it. The doors that it opens, the possibilities that it opens, even just listening to, and so here's the thing, like straight up being honest, I invested in Nick's mastermind and I was probably, I would say, the lowest earner in the room. And it was probably the most uncomfortable room that I've ever been in because it's full of smart people. George is way smarter than I am, way fucking smarter. But I was in that room for that reason. And being in that room has led to this event today. It has led to me creating a franchise that now exists in Lithuania. Shout out to Valdis. Yes, go ahead, Valdis. In Donegal, in Dublin. That's how powerful it is, just being around people that think different. Even though I would have had an idea of kind of what to do, there's just people there that just force you to do it and they just force you to level up. That's how fucking powerful it is. Not just through, and I think the thing about joining a mastermind is that it gives you perspective as well. In my case, whenever I joined Nick James's mastermind, it gave me perspective of how far I actually want to go with things. I'm pretty sure that if I, in the mastermind that I run as well, some of the guys might look at me and like, do you know what, I want to be in that position as well. And it's perspective for everyone. And I think that's half the battle most of the time. Like when I see people who are doing so well and they show me the possibilities and they tell me how to do it, it's just like, okay, well, it is possible. Now I can move forward and I can attempt these things, and it just gives you belief above all else.
I'm sure everybody in here has met somebody who goes to the gym and does the same workout every day, doesn't get any results, spinning their wheels, and you try and have a conversation with that person and say, listen, you need to change it up, you need to do it, and they don't do anything about it, right? That person's just going to be stuck. And that's pretty much, I think, the best way we can sort of describe this is where we were before we started. It was absolute chaos. Like, I honestly, I fell out of love with coaching numerous times because we had no systems. We didn't know how to make money. We didn't know even how to communicate with each other. We were like another married couple. Sorry, Katrina. Do you know what I mean? But we just weren't speaking. We weren't communicating. It wasn't helping us. We were, not achieving anything because we had no clarity, no vision. We didn't know what we were doing. And when someone sits you down, like a coach, and sees from an outside perspective, okay, this is what you're currently doing, this is what you're not doing, and this is what you need to do. And so when someone lays out them steps for you, it's almost like an aha moment, like, I feel like such a dick, I'm so stupid. But like if you've been spinning your wheels doing the same thing, you don't see any other, result. And I'm sure if anyone has read Extreme Ownership, Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, basically two ex-Navy SEALs who apply leadership principles to businesses now. But, Jocko Willink was one of the commanders, and he tells the 6 Navy SEALs teams, this is the mission. He doesn't get involved with the planning of the mission because he needs to be able to remove himself to look and go, have you thought about this? What about this? You need to do this. And I think that's what a great coach and a great mastermind does. People hold you accountable. Just do what they say you're going to do, and people are going to give you the resources, time, and energy for you to be a success, because I've never been part of any mastermind where somebody's trying to pull me down and not want me to be better. So I think that just sort of, for me, describes it.
Well, lads.
Yep.
Chef Freeman here. I want to ask you a question about, obviously, you said you come from nothing, which is, class to see where you are now, and things are starting to go well for you, and business is good and finances a wee bit more comfortable, which is great. What is the main motivation now? How do you get up every morning, 4 or 5 o'clock, push on, continue to do what you do, make all these moves? That's not something everybody has. How do you continue to do that when really and truly you could probably relax back, maybe even take a few months off and lay up the feet? What is the motivation? Outside your family, is there anything else that really makes you want to drive forward every day?
Why do you get up every day and breathe? The amount of times that's why I said smart, the amount of times I've met people who are millionaires that are just not happy because they're not doing what they want to do. They've sold their business for 20, 30 million, whatever it is. They're comfortable. They don't have to do anything else in life, and they're depressed. So for us, it's pretty much, there is days where you can go, fuck, right, I'd love a break. But I still get up at 5 a.m. and train in the morning because it keeps me fresh, it keeps me alert. I've said to my staff, we still do fitness courses, even though we're mostly involved in business. And I remember saying to my staff in a staff meeting, the reason why I do that is because I want to still be better than you as a coach, because the moment that you're better than me is the moment you're going to question me. So for me, I've always been super competitive, and Lenny will attest to this. If he does 10 reps, I want to do 11. If he lifts 10 kilos, I want to lift 20. And it used to annoy him sometimes, but for me, it's just competitiveness, and we're around people who are doing well better than us. Like, I'm in the fortunate position where I coach maybe 3 people, and they're business owners, like, who are making great money, and I'm just going to myself, I want to be where you are. Like, how can I soak up that information for them? And so, if anything, it's like, fuck, I'm not doing that in my business. I need to go away and put that into place. Because for me, there is no such thing as happiness. Happiness is that moment in time. You win the lottery, it's amazing, but then your life moves on, you want to achieve something else. So for us, it's making an impact. Like, it's not about being famous or anything like that. It's actually going, do you know what? On your gravestone, they were 2 good guys. They helped me grow my business, great family people, whatever it is. So I would say that's mine. And just being around sort of people like that.
Notice PJ said that our gravestones were kind of going to be like beside each other or some shit. Like he'll be dead long before me. Long before me. I said to Phil Brady before, hell on earth is meeting the man you could have become. And I think that's it for me in a nutshell. I would never, ever forgive myself if I didn't bring you people here this weekend. If I didn't bring Alwyn Cosgrove over from America. If I didn't have all of these amazing speakers on this stage, and if I wasn't the person who led that situation, I would never forgive myself. So if I looked at myself in 50 years' time and said, dude, you didn't fucking do that when you had the opportunity, it's hell on earth.
What's up, lads? Just want to say thanks for today. It's been fucking smashing so far. And if you had to get into the fitness industry, you were starting today, but you boys have a clean slate with the knowledge that you have. What path do you take? How to execute it within your first 90 days? Go.
This is something I see a lot of coaches, not doing today. Everyone's focused on social media. Everyone's focused on, putting out videos and content. And we're talking to less people now than I've ever seen. So for me, it would be about how can I get in an environment and speak to people, get in situations. Like for me, how I started to get our first couple of clients or my first couple of clients was I trained in the gym, right? I embodied what I spoke about. I trained a certain way, I ate a certain way, like I was all in. So for me, starting off, I would focus on trying to meet as many people as possible, connecting with as many people as possible inside of the gym, whether it be supporting them through a spot or even just having a conversation or whatever it may be. And then what I would do is I would just follow up with those people. Like when we were starting off, Facebook was the thing. Everyone was adding each other on social media. So it's very easy just to sort of speak to people. So for the first 90 days, I would put at least 60 into that, into just communicating, following up with people, giving advice. How did that go? Did you put that into plan, action? And then probably offer some sort of service or so after that. I know it's probably not sexy. I probably could have said ClickFunnels and Facebook ads and everything else. But I think we're really missing human connection these days, especially after COVID. And online, guys, I'm sure you've experienced this. Sometimes you've never met this person, so you can sense that hesitancy of someone actually committing. So for me, it would be that conversation.
I've got it. I would be marketing and building out systems at least 70% of my time. And even though that work is hard in the moment, what it's going to do is create freedom for you later on down the line. So based on what I know now, if I had to go back and start all over again, I would be building out systems and I would be looking for my first hire, as in, what am I bad at in the business? What am I truly bad at? And who can do that job better than I can? Because no matter what you're doing right now in your business, there's always someone who can do it better than you. That would be my first 2 moves.
Actually, sorry, I want to add that. Yeah, like I do a lot of Facebook marketing and ads. I'm very much like quick, direct to the point. I want to be around and in that person's vicinity as quick as possible and scale. Yeah, without thinking, organics won't get me there. I would just go all in, as John said, probably the marketing and the systems in place. Because if you don't have them in place, chasing those leads up and having conversations becomes a bit of an issue. So, yeah.
Any other questions? We got one other question through, and whoever shared it, thank you for sharing it. And it says, after a hard couple of years losing my mum to cancer and now my dad having cancer, how do I overcome the mental block to start making content again and get rid of the self-doubt? And I showed the questions to Lenny and PJ before, and Lenny said, Philip, you answer that one. And all I would say is, honor the memory of your father, be unbelievably present with your mother, and choose and commit to not closing your heart and who you are, but slowly but surely start opening the light of your heart a little bit more and build up that confidence in yourself so that eventually the world will get more of who you are and it won't be hidden behind the kind of doubt and it's the feeling of being hurt again. We close often. I think this is an opportunity to open, but at your own pace and not at somebody else's pace. So it's to build up that trust in yourself. And there's people that will connect with you because of that story. And your ability to share that in whatever level you can will make a massive difference. So hopefully for whoever that is, that was helpful. They were all the questions. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Who's going to be speaking next year at the event?
If you don't get that hashtag right, you'll not be there. But it's probably a dream list. The who's who of the fitness industry. We want to be here. We want this to be something that expands, gets bigger venues, bigger speakers. Because why shouldn't we be able to do that with the likes of, other people are doing it in different countries and bringing speakers to here? Because, we always talk about this. Me and Lenny in the first 10 years had spent probably 130K plus, because we calculated it, on courses, on masterminds, on having to go abroad. That wasn't even like travel, to invest in things that were not on our doorstep. And you guys have a great advantage, but it doesn't grow without you guys. So if you don't share the content here today, you don't, say to someone, do you know what, you have to be at that event next year, because like the lineup, the speakers, everything that I've learned, like then you're going to lose that opportunity. You're going to have to invest a hell of a lot more money. So speakers ways, if you have any recommendations, but we know the people who've made a massive impact on our life, whether it's people who we've followed in the fitness industry or who we've worked with. And it's very much like, when you experience something that's amazing, you can't wait to tell people. That's the way it was when we worked with coaches and we worked with, other people. So we would love that opportunity for you guys as well. So I don't think there's anybody that we have in our head at the minute, but yeah.
So we'll probably, we will bring in people that everyone will know. But at the same time, I actually think it's just as important to bring in people that everyone doesn't know. Because I think everyone deserves an opportunity. Maybe before today, not everyone in this room knew Peter Hughes. And by the way, Peter's only 22. Fucking hell, what was I doing when I was 22? Right? But I'm pretty sure Patter brought a lot of value to the room, did he? Fuck yeah, right? So it's like, yes, we will bring people that everyone will know, and they will bring a ton of value, and you'll get a lot of learning from that. But also that learning is sitting right next to you now. So there's opportunities for everyone.